Hello, and welcome to our first lesson on early America, and to our video course covering citizenship topics. We want to make the process of preparing for your civics test as informative as possible, and we have provided a number of different ways to study the civics information so you can master your test. In this course, we will cover topics from these early days, all the way into the 21st century, and you will learn more about our government, rights and freedoms that you have now that you are here, as well as some new responsibilities you will have once you are a US citizen. Today, we are going to talk a little bit about the native people of America, early European settlers, including the Pilgrims who arrived at Plymouth Rock in the 1600s. And as we talk about this early history, we will also explore some of the reasons that millions of people have immigrated to America over the last 500 years. Let's get started. Over the years, millions of people have come to America to start a new life from countries all over the world. They had many different reasons for coming to America, but all came hoping for a better life. And whether you have come here seeking new opportunities, freedom, or simply a new start for you and your family, we're glad you're here. Over 500 years ago, people from Europe began coming to North America, looking for freedom and opportunity. Some came for political freedom and the opportunity to govern themselves. And others came for economic opportunities. And then other groups, like the Pilgrims who came to Massachusetts in the 1600s, wanted to be free to practice their religion. In 1620, Pilgrims from Europe arrived here at Plymouth Rock in present-day Plymouth, Massachusetts, looking for a place to create a new colony and to start their own church. At that time in Europe, leaders told the people how to practice religion and where they had to go to church. This made life very difficult for people with different beliefs, and they were often punished for having those different beliefs. These early colonists came for freedom of religion. This means they could practice any religion or not practice a religion. This idea of religious freedom continues to be an important value for Americans today. The early European settlers were not the first people to live in what is the United States today. In fact, for thousands of years before the Europeans arrived, there were many tribes of Native American people living in America. Each of these tribes had its own customs, traditions, and beliefs. In fact, when the Founding Fathers got together in 1787 to debate what our new government would be like, there were no functioning democracies in Europe to give them inspiration for a democratic form of government. The closest thing that many of the delegates would have observed to this type of government came from Native American peoples. In particular, a number of historians have noted the Iroquois Confederacy had a system of governance that likely was an important influence on the design of the U.S. Constitution. So, when the Pilgrims arrived, there were many tribes like the Navajo, Iroquois, and Cherokee living here. The Wampanoag tribe were living in the northeast of the place where the Pilgrims arrived. The Wampanoag taught the Pilgrims many important skills like growing corn, beans, and squash. The first winter was very hard for the Pilgrims, and the Wampanoag helped them to survive. After their first harvest together, the Wampanoag and the Pilgrims joined together for a feast. Today, many Americans remember to celebrate this event on Thanksgiving in November. As more settlers came from Europe and began to move west, there were many conflicts with Native American tribes. The settlers ultimately defeated these native tribes and took their land. The government signed treaties with the tribes and moved them to land dedicated for them. These lands are called reservations. Today, there are over 500 tribes recognized by the federal government and over 300 reservations. The largest reservation is that of the Navajo Nation, which is located within Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. The population on this reservation in 2010 was over 173,000 people. Most reservations have a much smaller population, with only 24 having a population of 10,000 or more. Historically, there have been many important Native peoples that we recognize. One example is Sacagawea, who was a Native American woman from the Shoshone tribe. At 12 years old, she was captured and enslaved by a different Native tribe. She met and married a French-Canadian fur trader a few years later. In 1804, President Thomas Jefferson sent two men named Lewis and Clark to explore the land between the Missouri River and the Pacific Ocean. In October of 1804, Lewis and Clark met Sacagawea and her husband in North Dakota. They hired them as guides and interpreters. Sacagawea made peace with the tribes they met along the route. Her efforts made this journey a success, and she's remembered for her important contribution to this day. In the year 2000, a new $1 coin was introduced featuring Sacagawea on the front of the coin. From 2009 forward, the back of the coin has featured imagery and Native American individuals who had an important part in shaping the United States as we know it today. That's all of the material for this lesson on early America. Next, we will review the civics test questions that were covered in this lesson. So, let's begin our review of those civic test questions. What is one reason colonists came to America? Acceptable answers include political freedom, religious freedom, economic opportunities, or escape persecution. What is freedom of religion? You can practice any religion, or not practice a religion. Who lived in America before the Europeans arrived? You can either answer American Indians or Native Americans. Name one American Indian tribe in the United States. You can answer any one of the following: Cherokee, Navajo, Sioux, Chippewa, Choctaw, Pueblo, Apache, Iroquois, Creek, Blackfeet, Seminole, Cheyenne, Arawak, Shawnee, Mohegan, Huron, Oneida, Lakota, Crow, Teton, Hopi, Inuit. That's all of the civics test questions for this unit. Remember, you can always review the civics test questions by using the flashcards in the app. Thanks for taking part in today's lesson. We hope to see you again for a future lesson.